Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Judith Patterson. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Texas. Today we're going to be making 3 cards with the Gone Fishing stamp set and some of the other items that coordinate with this. So before we get to that though, I have a few things to let you know. One, this is my video class tutorial for this class to go. So to get the class to go, simply place an order with this host code by, I believe, June 11th by the end of the day. And if your order pre-tax and shipping reaches $35, then you get all of the pieces to make these 3 cards. You'll make 2 each. For free. I'll send them to you in the mail. If your order reaches $50 pre-tax and shipping, then I'll include a package of the rustic metallic dots. I love these dots, and especially on masculine cards. They are just perfect for that type of card, but they're great for other things too. Okay, and then I also wanted to make sure that you're aware of a couple of Stampin' Up's promotions happening all month. Let me see. Okay, so the first one, I was going to do it in the other order, but that's okay. We'll do the starter kit first. So the starter kit, this month only, so June 2023, you order the kit for $99 if you're in the U.S. Shipping is free, and you get to pick up to $155 worth of Stampin' Up! Products. It can be online exclusives, it can be stuff out of the catalog, just anything that is current right now. You can add that to your starter kit up to $155. You can't go over $155, but you can get up to $155 worth of product. So that is pretty amazing. It's a really great deal that they're offering this month, and I would love to have you on my team. To be on my team, or to be a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator at all, you do not have to sell. You can simply sign up for all of the perks and the fun things, and enjoy that discount and some of the behind the scenes type information. All right, the other promotion happening this month is also pretty exciting. So we're having a designer series paper sale. Not all the designer series paper is on sale, but most of it is. And you can just click right on over to my online store, and there's a link, and you'll be able to see everything that is on sale. So select papers are 15% off. So that's a great deal. I myself placed an order yesterday. That was the first thing that I did yesterday, to get some of these great designer series papers at a lower price. And of course I got to use my discount too, so it was even lower. So it's one of those perks that I was talking about of being a demonstrator. So if you have any questions on that, you can contact me anytime. I've got links below, and I would love to answer your questions. Okay, so let's create. Things that might be a little like there's a little bit of a glare sometimes. I've got all my windows open, so my lighting is a little different than normal. Let me go ahead and go back to my face. I'm going to tell you my story. So our air conditioner in our addition, where my craft room is, went out yesterday. So we think it's the motherboard. Sounds scary, but we're hoping to get it fixed soon. But for right now, it's very toasty. So I'm trying to get this video done and get out of here because I don't want to start glistening on camera, and I might. It is a cooler summer than normal, but it's already 83 degrees in here. I've got my craft room's on the 2nd floor, so yeah, that heat just rises up. Anyway, so that's my sad little story today. So that's why my lighting might be a little bit different, but hopefully it'll work. Okay, so like I said, I package everything up, all your pieces that you'll get in the class to go, in an envelope. So I go ahead and cut all your pieces and put them inside your card base, and then I put all of that inside an envelope, and all of your envelopes will be labeled so that you know which card they're for. You don't have to guess before you open it up. Alright, so I've got lots of little pieces on this one. There's not a lot of stamping on most of these cards. I really took advantage of the fact that the designer series paper has these great fish. There's tons of them. And so I think all of these cards, I really take advantage of the designer series paper. They don't all have fish cut out like this, but 2 out of the 3 do. Okay, so this first card is a congratulations card. It could also be a retirement card, whatever you want to stamp on the inside of it. But I went with congratulations. So the front piece says, good things come to those who wait. So I used our new in color boho blue to stamp that. Now I'm just going to start layering some pieces together. So I'm going to start by figuring out where I want this. So I want this to be angled behind this other piece, and look, it's the same piece. Well, it's a part of the same piece. So I'm going to layer it about like that. So I'm just going to take my liquid glue and put it down here. And I like to use that liquid glue because I have a little bit of room to adjust things. And I think that's pretty good. Okay, so now I'm going to glue this piece. Make sure you're putting the glue on the right side of the correct side of your cardstock, because these pieces are the same. It can get confusing. I was going to say they look the same either way, but it can get confusing. So I'm going to put it about right there. My main thing is I want it straight, as straight as possible. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and add just a little bit of glue right there to get that corner down. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take my handy little glue dots, and I'm going to place them a little higher than an inch up the back of this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, so right about there. And then same on the other side, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to put it right in the center of that 5th square. This grid paper is so handy for so many reasons. So linen thread is what I'm using. It does not come in your kit. So you can use just whatever you have that would coordinate with this. You can use linen thread if you have it, or just whatever thread that you have, or you could even, if you wanted to, leave this part off. It's not absolutely necessary for the card. It's just a fun added element. So I just wrapped it around 3 times, and then I'm securing the ends on those glue dots that I put down ahead of time. Alright, so now this piece can be attached to the card base with Stampin' Dimensionals. I like lots of Stampin' Dimensionals to keep it nice and even and make sure it's going to stick forever and ever. Especially this time of year when it starts heating up. It can kind of melt the adhesive a little bit, so you want to make sure you have plenty on there if you're somewhere hot like I am. It's a neat trick though, the melting of the adhesive, because if you put something on wrong, you can always melt your adhesive a little bit with your heat tool and make some adjustments very, very carefully. So I want to center that up as best I can. I'm notoriously putting things down crooked, so hopefully that's pretty good. Alright, so I'm going to use this largest fish, and I'm going to add some glue dots. I'm going to go with mini glue dots, I believe. And I'm just going to put one at the top of the tail, and then a couple across this fin up here, one here on its little, I don't know, Is it a snout? Is it a head? What do fish have? Who are my biologists that know fish anatomy? I don't know what the correct term for that part of the fish is. Anyway, so it's going to go there. And then I'm going to place this right here. So then these pieces, I'm going to add another layer of dimensionals right on top of those. There we go. And then all of this I'll layer across here. So I'm going to go back to those larger dimensionals, and I'm going to put one here. I don't want it down here on the bottom because I don't want it sticking to that linen thread that I put down. Try to always think about the placement of these, or any adhesive, where it's going to go, what it's going to look like whenever I lay it down. See, that fish is wanting to stick. So I'm going to move this very carefully down here. There we go. All right. See, I didn't think that first bit through as much as I thought I had. Okay, so there is the front of our card, and we still have these 3 bits of fish. So you can always use all of the pieces of your designer series paper whenever you're fussy cutting certain elements out, even if they're like cut off from the edge, you can still use it. So I'm getting that boho blue back, and I'm stamping congrats just right up here inside the card. That could have been stamped a little better, so I'm going to flip that over. And I am including extra pieces when you need to stamp something. I'm not putting extra pieces in for everything, but if you have to stamp on it, I put extra pieces in just in case you do like I just did and make a little boo-boo. Of course, you can turn it over once, but then if you need to, you still can have an extra one and have 2 more shots. I do recommend having some kind of scratch paper or grid paper so that you can stamp on it once or twice and get the feel for the stamp and make sure it's stamping correctly. Okay, this one, I'm going to put it right there. And then this one I'm going to put along the edge. And you don't have to use all these little pieces, but you certainly can. They're just a fun little element to add. There we go. And then for the envelope, I'm going to add another fish. I'm going to actually use the stamp this time. I'm going to, these stamps are 2-step stamps. So I have the outline stamp. I'm stamping with Mossy Meadow. And then the inside of that stamp, I'm going to use boho blue again. I'm going to stamp off lightly once. Trying to make sure you can't see, but I need to see too so I can line this up. So there we go. Here's the inside of the stamp. Okay, so we have our envelope that coordinates beautifully with our card. Isn't that fun? All right, so let's do the other 2. The next one uses more of that great DSP, and it is one that has more fish. So this is another new in color. This is Wild Wheat. This this is our inside piece for that. I'm just going to stick it to the side for now. The first thing I'm going to do is layer all of these pieces. So when you get the class to go, of course you already have access to the video, and you'll get the pieces, and if your order reaches $50 pre-tax and shipping, you also get the embellishment. You also get a PDF tutorial that has all of the, has the entire supply list, and it has the measurements, which I always find super handy to have. So you'll have all the measurements for all of these pieces. Okay, so I'm just centering that up right there. And then this piece gets centered on the front of your card. Okay, so this one is a retirement card. So I have this little piece, and these dies are from Something Fancy dies. And I can show you what those look like real quick. So these are the dies you get. I used, for this class, I used the large, this one, and the smaller, the smallest, this shape. Okay, so again, I'm using that Mossy Meadow to stamp Happy Retirement. Using the standard size dimensionals again. And then I'm going to figure out where I want my fish. So, and all of the fish are not going to be the same. I used different fish in different kits. Just because if I tried to do it all, I would waste a lot of designer series paper if I tried to do them all the same fish. And it's fun to have variety. I'm just placing that right there. Flip it over carefully so you don't knock everything off like I just did. Then I'm just going to add one more dimensional to this here. It feels like it's getting warmer in here, but so far the temperature doesn't seem to have changed much. Maybe it's all in my mind. Okay, so that goes right along there. And then I'm going to grab those rustic metallic adhesive backed dots. It's a mouthful. And I always like to use my take your pick tool. So I know some people use the pointy end and kind of get under it that way, which I do sometimes. But my favorite way to use these is use the sticky end and pick them up and put them down where I want them. Okay, and then for the inside of the card, nothing fancy. I just have another fish cut out from the edge piece. I'm not adding another sentiment to the inside of this, but you could. I'm just going to put this little guy swimming along the bottom. How handy is that? Okay, and then this will, of course, go inside the card. Okay, for the envelope flap on this card, I am again using the fish stamp. I had it setting on a cloth to get it dry, or not dry, but get the ink off of it. So, alright, I'm going to stamp it again. This time I'm going to use the Mossy Meadow. So that's the only color you need for this card. And again, I'm stamping off to make it lighter on the inside of the fish. There we go. I got a little off on that one, but that's okay. If you look at the designer series paper, you'll see that it has like a watercolor effect, and sometimes it's a little outside of the lines. So I'm not going to stress about it. This is no stress stamping. Okay, so there is our second card with Gone Fishing. These are pretty simple cards. They go together really quickly, and they're just great to have on hand for all those men in your life. Of course, any of the sentiments can be changed. So if you don't need a retirement card, but you need a happy birthday card, then by all means, use whatever birthday sentiment you have. That'll fit approximately the same size. You've got some wiggle room there. So whatever you need, just change the sentiment. Okay, so this one we have a different piece of designer series paper and Night of Navy. And this one is a Father's Day card, the way I've put it together. It does have a sentiment on the front and on the inside. And the ink I chose to use for this one is Night of Navy. And then optionally, you can also use Calypso Coral on the envelope. And I'll get to that in just a minute. Okay, so on this piece, I'm going to just lay this down here to get an idea of where I want it. I'm going to start by stamping So Glad You're My Dad right here on the bottom. And then I'm going to use dimensionals to attach this to my card base. And again, love those dimensionals. I'm going to be using plenty of them. Okay, so I'm going to layer this piece on our very vanilla card base. I'm not going to put that piece down just yet. I think what I want to do is assemble my little bobber. So this does fit one side better than the other one. And look at that, I picked it right off the bat. So add a little bit of glue to the back of this. Line it up. So these dies are part of the Gone Fishing dies. I'll show you those really quick as well. So here are these. You have some lures, you have a bobber. There is a stamp that's the round kind of bobber, so this will cut the stamp out. This cuts the big fish out. This is just another little lure. There's all kinds of great things on here. And this makes a fabulous tackle box. Okay, so I'm totally distracting myself right now, going on a little rabbit tail, but this is my favorite thing that I have made with this set so far. So it's just a card, but I used the dies to make it look a little bit like a little tackle box. And then everything is loose, so it's a bit of a shaker card. And then this part here, the tassels on this fishing lure, is the Parakeet Party metallic ribbon. And then I just kind of unribboned it. What's the word? I'm so bad with words, y'all. I forget them all the time. But oh, what am I thinking of? I like undid all the threads. There's a word for it, and I had it earlier. Anyway, hopefully I'm making sense and you know what I'm talking about. Alright, so here is this. And I want this to little thing to be bobbing up here. So thankfully I left a little bit of room for that. So what I'm going to do is just put some liquid glue along the back here. Then I'm going to take some black twine, and again, the twine is not included in your kit. Yikes. Oh, I'm glad I didn't just get glue on my card. Alright, so what I'm going to do, I need to make sure I'm doing it on the end with the Calypso coral. I'm going to leave a little bit of this hanging. And I might trim some of that off in a minute. But I'm going to wrap this around this top bit. Then I'm going to bring it down. I want this to be up. There we go. So I'm bringing this piece down, and I had that glue along the stick there, the wood piece. So I'm going to just leave that hanging out. Okay, so what I want to do now is figure out the placement of all of this. So I want this to hang down to about there. And I'm going to use, now I'm not doing this for y'all, so this is optional, but I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool. And I'm going to go ahead and poke a hole through this. I have a mouse pad to my right, so I'm going to use it to set this on. So there we go. I just poked a little bit of a hole where I had something squishy underneath it so it could go through. Make it a little bigger there. And then I'm going to take the end of this a little bigger. Okay, so I'm going to take the end of this thread, this twine, hopefully stick it through this hole. Okay, so like I say, you can leave that part off if you want to and just use a glue dot to attach this to the back of it. But I wanted to be a little bit more authentic, I guess, and so I wanted to stick it through a hole and then use the glue dot to attach it. Okay, so for the bobber part, I'm just going to add glue along the stick. I'm going to add a little bit back here. My glue keeps drying up. I forget about it being so much warmer. Well, I don't completely forget because it is warm. But I forget that makes my glue dry out faster, so I can't sit here leaving the top off like I have been today. Alright, so make sure your fish are the right way. And then you want to take your bobber, place it towards the top, so that it's hanging over some. And then this little guy, of course it needs to be hanging down. And then add just the teensiest bit of glue to the back of your hook. And then I'm going to add just a little bit to the top too. Just on the very tip, just a tiny, tiny bit. It really doesn't take much. I really should not have left my glue open. Don't do that. Oh boy. Okay, so I'm going to use my take your pick tool to kind of hold that down. And since I had glue all over the front and the back, I'm going to just take advantage of that and use this glue that's on the front of this hook to hold down my string in 2 places instead of 1. And to hold all of that still, I'm just going to take a block and place it on top of it. It's not as neat and tidy as I would have liked it to be, but things happen and I get messy. Alright, so for the inside of the card, while that's sitting there, I'm going to go ahead and finish off the inside. I'm going to finish this so that I can close this glue. So I have a 1/2 inch strip of Designer Series paper, the same as what's on the front. And I'm just going to place that towards the bottom. Again, you want to make sure that your fish are facing the correct direction before you glue that down. And then I'm going to take my Happy Father's Day stamp, stamp that towards the top, and the inside of my card is now finished. So for the envelope on this one, I'm going to use that other bobber stamp that I was telling you about. So I'm going to stamp it in Night of Navy, stamp off, and then stamp. It almost looks like a Christmas ornament, doesn't it? But just wait, we'll fix that. And you know what? I think I put my bobber on upside down, didn't I? The red part's supposed to be under the water. Hot mess. Hot mess express. So don't do as I did. Do it as I'm saying now. This part, let's see if I can flip it. No, I can't flip it. It'll mess it all up. So just know that this Calypso coral piece, it needs to go down here, not at the top. I kept looking at it thinking it looked funny, but it's been a minute since I've been fishing. Oh boy. Okay, so now I'm going to use dimensionals. I'm going to blame the heat. Any mistakes, it's because I'm hot. I'm melting. Still saying it's only 83.5 degrees in here, and the humidity is like 56%. I think that makes it worse. Don't you? Not a fan of the humidity. Alright, so that piece goes on there with your dimensionals. And then, if you would like to, you can add 3 of these rustic metallic dots. I'm going to have to clean the glue off of my take your pick tool after this video. Oops. So sometimes I can accidentally, if I don't do it right, pick up a dot without the adhesive back. So I didn't grab it the right way, and instead of grabbing the dot and the adhesive, I just pushed the adhesive off the dot. But that's okay, I fixed it really quick. Okay, so there is our second card with the upside down bobber, the inside, and then the coordinating envelope for this one. So hopefully you like this class. And again, if you have any questions about this class, about the promotions that are happening this month, anything related to stamping or Stampin' Up especially, I am happy to help, and I'm ready to answer all of those questions. So you can just use the link below to contact me, or to go to my website and look up some things there. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. I hope you're having a great weekend and that your air conditioning is working. Happy stamping.